How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. My name's Ayerow, and in today's video I'll be showing you 10 things you might not have known about in Valheim. Starting off with number 1, did you know that ravens actually hang out outside of caves within Valheim? Which makes it actually really easy to figure out where caves are just by listening to the ravens' caws and how loud they get the closer you get to the cave. Now we're going to talk a little bit about parrying. Parrying is a pretty big and essential thing in Valheim, and it's extremely useful, because after you parry, it actually leaves the enemies stunned, and I think they also take more damage while they're stunned. So it can be very useful early game if you practice it and get good at it. Also, I wanted to add that this shield you can't actually parry with, but you can be like a walking fortress. You can actually hold it up much longer than the circle shield, and your stamina doesn't go down as much either. Did you know that holding a torch out while Grey Dwarfs are around will actually scare them away from you, and they won't come anywhere near you? But do keep in mind though that they will still try to throw rocks at you, so you're not completely out of danger. This is more of a tip, but I still wanted to include it in this video because of how useful it can be. If you're afraid of losing your items, you can leave a marker on top of where you died. In case you end up dying again on the way back, you still have a way of finding your items. And so here I die one more time, just so I can show you guys exactly what I'm talking about. When I respawn here, I'll actually open the map and show you guys that I now have a new death marker, but I still have also still have the other marker I placed on the map, so I can head back and still grab my items. Now I want to talk about hotkeys. Valheim has some pretty useful hotkeys it doesn't really tell you about. For instance, if you're standing still and you hit Q, you will start auto walking. If you hold shift while auto walking, you'll actually start sprinting, and you can use the right mouse button to move your camera around. Now this can be pretty handy if you got a long walk ahead of you, or if you've died and you just want to make the walk back to your dead body easier. Valheim also has some pretty useful hotkeys to make using chests and storing items 1,000 times easier. If you hold control and click on an item, you can instantly move it from your chest to your inventory or vice versa. You can also shift click to split stacks up to allow you to take what you need. Here's another quick tip that I think deserves to be in this video. If you guys have any equipment or armor in your inventory, you can actually right click on all of the pieces and your character will actually start putting them on one by one, which makes it really easy for when you die. You can just right click all your stuff and you can just wait for him to put it on, as opposed to clicking one at a time. Here's a neat little chest stacking method that'll help you keep things more compact and organized. If you have a row of chests, you can actually place a half floor and place chests right on top of your other chest. This is very useful for making storage sheds and keeping things more organized. This is one you probably didn't know about, and that's the debug menu, which is basically the unofficial creative mode in Valheim. You can start using it by hitting F5 and typing "I'm a cheater." After that, the game will respond and say, "Cheats? True." If it says that, you've done it right. Next, type debug and have it say true. Now you're in debug mode. Now that we are in debug mode, there are a few things you can do right away. If you press Z, you will enable fly mode. You can use this for building and exploring your world. Next, if you open your creative menu and hit B, this will enable no placement cost, which means you can build anything free of charge, which is really useful for trying new builds out and just kind of seeing what you can do with the build menu. This next button is the K button, which basically just kills everything around you that is killable. So, I mean, if you got a pesky troll coming through your house and you can't get rid of it, just hit the K button and yeah, he's dead. Also, I should mention that you can only use the debug menu in single player. You cannot use it in multiplayer as of right now. Alright, so now I just want to quickly touch on smoke ventilation in Valheim. So when you actually have a campfire inside your house will actually fill up with smoke. And as you can see in my house, I have so much ventilation that I actually have a hard time trying to show you guys. But if the smoke builds up in your house, you'll actually start taking damage over time. So you will have to build yourself a chimney, which is actually kind of easy. But do make sure you put a roof on top of your chimney, or else when it rains, it will put out your fire. And that can just be honestly just a little bit annoying. Also, remember that in Valheim, anything that is left outside that is wood and not covered by a roof will actually take damage. As you can see here, my stairs are actually in need of repair. So I quickly repair those, and I should probably invest in a roof over those stairs so that way they don't break on me. Alright guys, last but not least, I want to touch on the hoe. Just because it is a kind of confusing tool, but I want to show you guys how it works and what you need to do to be able to actually flatten ground properly. So in Valheim, wherever you're standing, the game will try to bring the ground basically to your feet. So if you're in a really flat area and there's like a cliff in front of you, if you start lowering the ground in front of you, it'll actually try to bring the ground down to where your feet level is. And it works vice versa if the ground is below you and you're standing on sort of a mountain and you click below you, it'll actually try to raise the ground up as high as possible to bring it as close to your feet as possible. So just keep that in mind whenever you guys are using your hoe and you're wondering why you're getting uneven ground. It's probably because you're walking all over the place and you don't realize that you're on an incline and you're messing up all the work you just put in. Alright guys, well, that's the end of today's video on 10 things you probably didn't know about in Valheim. If there was anything you guys didn't know, maybe leave me a like or a comment telling me what it was. And if you guys do like my content, maybe consider subscribing to the channel, as I do work pretty hard on these videos and I would love to continue doing it as it's something I love and I enjoy so much doing, and I hope I help you guys out in some way. Alright guys, enough rambling on. Stay sexy, stay beautiful, and I'll see you next time. Later!